Hello friends, Namaskar. We are in the face of extreme crisis of COVID. Almost 3 months have already passed and this crisis is increasing day by day. Many people are in extreme difficulties and they are earning hand to mouth and have so much of sufferings. People have gone into depression and a recent young life which has gone. Sushant Singh Rajput, a young Bollywood actor. Very pain to hear that. My condolences. Friends, we must exercise patience and I am sure this difficult phase will too pass. Today I have come to you on a very interesting subject which has come to my light that people in this critical phase has evolved a mechanism of solemnizing a virtual marriage. Various websites have emerged who take up the task of performing marriages amongst Hindus by making online arrangements. That bride is sitting at her house and the groom is sitting at his own house. All invitees are also at their respective places. The Pandit is also in his own house performing yajna. The respective bride and groom are also having respective Havan Kund at their place, and everything is then connected online and Pandit performs yajna and also carries out the ceremonies of marriage and a virtual marriage is done. It was quite interesting and amazing for me to examine as to if such marriages are legal marriages at all. To analyze this, we must understand the concept of Hindu marriage. A Hindu marriage is a solemnization of certain customs which are prevalent, and one of the prominent one is carrying out Saptapadi, that is taking 7 rounds around the holy fire by the couple and taking vows of the marriages. Saptapadi is an essential ceremony which had to take place, and if it is not proved, then it is not a legal marriage. And such a custom, when performed, is then have a backing and sanctity of law. Thus, taking of actual Saptabadi is a sine qua non, a prime requisite for performing the Hindu marriage. This cannot be done, in my view, in a virtual manner, as such is not the custom prevailing at any point of time. Thus, I am very much sure that such marriages cannot be taken to be a true and legal marriage. At the most, it can be a symbolic marriage for which after the COVID period the couple will have to perform the actual marriage ceremony in the real sense. Friends, I will also tell the 7 different vows which are taken during the solemnization of a Hindu marriage. But before that, I must say that for the marriage to be solemnized, custom is to be followed, whereas for the dissolution of the marriage, the law has to be followed. And there is no custom which sanctify the granting of divorce in Hindus. There are various grounds which are available under Hindu Marriage Act which entitle a man or a woman for taking divorce. Such a divorce cannot be only by virtue of an oral or written agreement between the parties. I have come across many instances when people come to me at the appellate stages and we come to know that they have taken divorce only by virtue of a document which was notarized or prepared before the oath commissioner. Such a document is not a divorce document and has no sanction of law. I must also remark that the vows which were taken during the solemnization of marriage at the time of Saptapadi, if there is any breach thereof at a later point of time, then the consequence is not a divorce. It is merely a breach of a vow with no legal consequence. It may have some moral consequences as far as that individual is concerned. Normally, such vows once taken, then at a later period of time, during the wear and tear of the family life, those vows are often broken and are not followed. But we must know what those vows are which sanctify the marriage between the parties. The first vow is for nourishment, where the groom promises that he will take care of welfare and happiness of the bride and the family, and the bride in turn promises to take care of all house management and offering food and help to the boy. The second vow is for providing strength by the parties to each other in all bad and good times. The bride takes a vow that she will rejoice in the happiness of the husband and will stand with him as his strength. The third vow is for loyalty, wherein both the parties assure each other that they will remain loyal to each other throughout their life, and the bride takes a vow that every other man in her life will be secondary to the husband. The fourth vow is to give respect to each other and to the elders in the family. The fifth vow is for progeny and children. Both the parties assure each other that they will be taking care of the children and would upbring them and will take care of their education. The sixth vow is for health and happiness, and the bride promises her husband that she will always keep him happy and will always be with him throughout her life. Then the seventh vow is for love and friendship, wherein the couple says that they are now husband and wife and they will stay together for eternity. After the completion of these vows, the bride is then made to sit on the left side of the groom to show that she is now dear and close to his heart. So, these are the interesting vows which are taken by the couple during the marriage ceremony. Although at a later point of time, these vows are not often obeyed in its entirety, and differences may and often occur, and these vows are breached, but it do not have a consequence that the marriage will fall apart. Although these vows are taken before the God so as to bind themselves. I will tell you certain vows which are taken under the Oath Act and before the courts, which have legal sanctity, and if they are breached, then there is a legal consequence and there is punishment provided. That I will do in my next video. Today I will say only this much and will conclude. Friends, do take care of yourself in this critical time and also take care of your relatives. Keep calling them and keep in touch with your friends and relatives. Thank you very much. Take care of yourself. Goodbye.